Because of autism, the family I once cared for became my silent power. They locked me in the basement because I wouldn't stop rocking back and forth. My own family, the people who were supposed to love me, treated me like a problem they needed to hide. I was 12 years old, autistic, and terrified in that dark space. But that basement became where I discovered my real power: silence, observation, and a mind that worked differently than theirs. I listened to everything through the vents. Every conversation, every secret, every lie. They thought I was broken and unaware. They had no idea I was absorbing everything, understanding patterns they couldn't see, and building knowledge that would one day destroy them. My name is Nathan Cole, and I'm 28 years old now. I'm a successful software engineer, millionaire, and advocate for autistic rights. A family that once locked me away now needs my help desperately. They come begging, crying, pretending they always loved me. But I remember everything. Every cruel word, every locked door, every moment they made me feel worthless. And now, my silence, the same silence they once demanded, has become my greatest power. They created a monster. They just didn't realize it would be a brilliant one. Let me start from the beginning. I was born Nathan Cole, the youngest of 3 children. My older siblings, Trevor and Amanda, were normal. Athletic, social, popular. I was different from the start. I didn't make eye contact. I didn't like being touched. I had intense interests in specific topics. I lined up my toys obsessively. My parents, Robert and Helen Cole, were wealthy and image-obsessed. "What's wrong with him?" my mother would ask doctors constantly. "Why doesn't he act like other children?" I was diagnosed with autism at age 5. High functioning, which meant I was verbal and intelligent, but struggled with social interaction and sensory issues. "He's autistic," the doctor explained. "He'll need support, understanding, and, can he be fixed?" my father interrupted. "There's no fixing autism," the doctor said gently. "It's how his brain works." But with proper support and acceptance, my parents didn't want to hear about acceptance. They wanted a cure, a quick fix, anything to make me a normal. They spent thousands on questionable therapies. Some tried to force me to make eye contact for hours. Others punished my stimming behaviors, the rocking, hand flapping, and spinning that helped me regulate my emotions. "Stop that," my mother would yell when I rocked. "You look crazy. People will think something's wrong with you." Something was wrong with me, according to them. I was an embarrassment, a defect in their perfect family image. Trevor and Amanda learned to be ashamed of me too. "That's my weird brother," Trevor would say to friends. "Just ignore him." Amanda was crueler. She'd invite friends over and deliberately trigger my sensory issues. Loud music, bright flashing lights, strong perfumes. I'd melt down, overwhelmed and crying. They'd laugh. "Look at the freak," her friends would say. My parents didn't defend me. They blamed me for being sensitive. "Why can't you just be normal?" they demand. "Why do you make everything so difficult?" I retreated into myself, spending hours alone in my room. I taught myself programming at age 8, finding comfort in logical code that made sense. Computers didn't judge. They didn't care if I rocked or avoided eye contact. But my family saw even this as weird. "He's obsessed with those computers," and my mother complained. "It's not healthy. He needs to socialize." I didn't want to socialize. Socializing meant being hurt, mocked, and misunderstood. Computers were safer. The basement incident happened when I was 12. My parents were hosting a big party for my father's business associates. Important people were coming. Nathan needs to be invisible, and my mother announced at breakfast. We can't have him causing scenes. I won't cause scenes, I said quietly. You always cause scenes, Trevor said. You're embarrassing. I tried my best that evening. I stayed in my room, door closed, trying to block out the noise. But the sounds were overwhelming, loud music, people talking, glasses clinking. I needed to stim, to regulate my overwhelmed nervous system. I started rocking back and forth, humming softly to calm myself. My father burst into my room. What are you doing? People can hear you. You sound insane. I'm just trying to calm down, I explained. The noise is, I don't care, he yelled. You're ruining everything. He grabbed my arm, dragging me downstairs. I started crying, overwhelmed. See? He's having a meltdown, and my mother said frantically. Get him out of sight. They shoved me into the basement, locking the door. Stay here until everyone leaves, and my father commanded. And be quiet. I sat in that dark basement for 4 hours, crying silently. But something shifted in me that night in the basement. I stopped crying and started listening. The heating vents carried sound clearly. I could hear everything happening at the party. And I mean everything. My father bragging about business deals that sounded illegal. My mother gossiping about friends with cruel precision. Trevor and Amanda talking about cheating on exams and stealing from stores. I started paying attention differently. My autistic brain, which they saw as defective, was actually incredible at pattern recognition and detail memory. I remembered every conversation. I began keeping notes in journals, documenting everything I heard. At first, it was just something to do. Organizing information calmed me. But slowly, I realized I was gathering power. Knowledge is power, especially secret knowledge. After that night, they locked me in the basement regularly. Anytime guests came over or they wanted me out of the way, I stopped fighting it. I'd sit quietly and listen, absorbing their secrets through the vents. My family thought they were punishing me. Really, they were giving me an education in their corruption and cruelty. I learned my father was embezzling from his company. I learned my mother was having an affair with his business partner. I learned Trevor was selling drugs at his high school. I learned Amanda was blackmailing other students for money. My perfect a family was rotten inside. And only I knew the full extent. I kept detailed records. Dates, times, conversations, context. My artistic need for organization made me meticulous. By age 15, I had hundreds of pages of documented evidence of their various crimes and schemes. But I stayed quiet. I was still dependent on them, still trapped. I focused on school and programming, planning my escape. My teachers noticed my intelligence. Nathan is gifted, and my computer science teacher told my parents. He should apply to advanced programs. My parents didn't care. He's autistic, and my father said dismissively. He'll be lucky to graduate high school. He could get a full scholarship to a top university, the teacher pressed. With his programming skills, stop wasting our time, and my mother interrupted. We know our son's limitations. But the teacher didn't give up. He helped me apply to special programs without my parents' knowledge. At 16, I was accepted to a prestigious coding academy with a full scholarship. I'm going, I told my parents. No, you're not, and my father said. You'll stay home where we can watch you. I'm legally going, I said firmly. The program includes housing. I leave in 2 weeks. They tried to stop me. They hid my acceptance letter. They called the program saying I was mentally incompetent. But the program director came to meet me personally. Nathan is clearly capable of making his own decisions, he told my parents. He's a minor, my mother protested. I'm his legal guardian. Actually, the director said, you're at 16 in this state, he can petition for emancipation. We can help him do that if necessary. My parents backed down, not wanting legal scrutiny. I left home at 16 and never looked back. The coding academy changed my life. For the first time, I was around people who appreciated how my brain worked. Your attention to detail is incredible, the instructors said. You see patterns others miss. That's because I'm autistic, I explained. My brain works differently. Different is good here, they replied. Different creates innovation. I thrived. I completed the 2-year program in 1 year, graduating top of my class. At 17, I had job offers from major tech companies. I chose a startup specializing in security software. We need someone who can find vulnerabilities others miss, they said. You're perfect. I was. My pattern recognition abilities made me exceptional at identifying security flaws. Within a year, I'd helped develop security software that became industry standard. At 18, the startup was acquired by a major corporation for $50 million. My shares made me a millionaire. I was 18 years old, financially independent, and finally free for my family. I changed my phone number and didn't tell them. I moved to a different city. I built a life where I could be openly autistic without shame. I found doctors who understood autism. I learned about stimming as a healthy self-regulation tool, not something to suppress. I discovered the autistic community, thousands of people like me who understood. For the first time in my life, I wasn't alone or broken. I was just different. And that was okay. I also started therapy to process years of abuse. Your family was severely neglectful and emotionally abusive, and my therapist explained. What they did wasn't okay. I know, I said. But I survived. You did more than survive, she replied. You thrived despite them. That's remarkable. I worked on healing. I built friendships with other neurodivergent people who didn't judge my differences. I dated, though relationships were still challenging. But I was learning and growing. Meanwhile, I kept my journals, all those notes from the basement years. I wasn't sure what I'd do with them. For years, I had no contact with my family. They didn't try reaching out either. I assumed they'd forgotten about me, their embarrassing autistic son who'd escaped. I was fine with that. My life was good. I worked for several tech companies, building my reputation and wealth. At 23, I started my own company, SecureNet Solutions. We developed cutting-edge cybersecurity software. My company grew quickly. Within 2 years, we had 50 employees and contracts with major corporations. You're one of the youngest successful CEOs in tech, a journalist wrote. How did you do it? I think differently, I'd explain. Being autistic gives me advantages in pattern recognition and systematic thinking. What some people see as a disability, I see as a different operating system. Mine just works better for certain tasks. I became an advocate for neurodiversity in tech. I spoke at conferences about autism and innovation. Don't try to fix autistic people, I tell companies. Learn how to support them. We offer unique perspectives that can revolutionize your business. Many tech companies started changing their hiring practices, actively recruiting autistic employees. Nathan Cole changed our understanding of neurodiversity, the article said. My advocacy work was fulfilling. I was helping autistic kids avoid what I'd experienced, being treated like broken things that needed fixing. Then, when I was 25, my family reappeared. I received an email from Amanda. Nathan, it's your sister. We need to talk. It's urgent. Please call me. I deleted it. A week later, Trevor emailed. Nate, I know we weren't close growing up. But family is family. We need your help. Please respond. I deleted that too. Then my mother called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, not recognizing it. Nathan? It's Mom. Please don't hang up. We need to talk. Your father is in trouble. The family needs you. I almost hung up. But curiosity won. What kind of trouble? I asked coldly. The SEC is investigating him for embezzlement, as she said, crying. He could go to prison. We could lose everything. Please, Nathan. You're so successful now. Maybe you can help? I laughed. Actually laughed. Help? The family that locked me in basements and treated me like garbage wants my help? We made mistakes, as she admitted. But we're family. Family helps each other. You stopped being my family when you treated me like a problem to hide, I said. Goodbye. I hung up. They kept trying. Emails, calls, even showing up at my office. Please, Nathan, and my father said when security brought him to my office. I'm sorry for how we treated you. I didn't understand autism. I was wrong. Please forgive me. You want forgiveness? I asked. Or you want money and influence to save yourself? He hesitated. Both, he finally admitted. I do regret how we treated you. But yes, I also desperately need help. I could go to prison for 20 years. Good, I said simply. You deserve it. Nathan, please, no, I interrupted. You locked me in basements for hours. You called me broken and embarrassing. You wanted to fix me like I was defective. Now you're the one who's broken, and you want me to fix you? No. Security escorted him out. But my curiosity was piqued. I started researching my father's case. The SEC had discovered his embezzlement scheme, the same one I'd overheard through basement vents 13 years ago. He'd stolen over $5 million from his company over 15 years. The evidence was substantial. He was likely going to prison. My mother's affair had apparently ended badly. The business partner she'd been sleeping with testified against my father, providing evidence in exchange for immunity. Trevor had been arrested for drug dealing. He was out on bail, awaiting trial. Amanda had somehow become a lawyer, ironic, given her past, but was struggling financially. The whole family was falling apart. Part of me felt satisfaction. They'd been so cruel to me, and now karma was delivering justice. But another part felt empty. I discussed it with my therapist. They're facing consequences for their actions, she observed. How does that make you feel? Satisfied but also sad, I admitted. They are terrible people, but they're still my biological family. I don't love them, but I don't enjoy their suffering either. That's healthy, she said. You can acknowledge they hurt you while also recognizing they're human beings facing consequences. I have something they don't know about, I said. What's that? Evidence. Years of documented conversations I heard through basement vents. Proof of crimes they committed. What will you do with that? She asked. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to use it against them. But another part wonders if that makes me as bad as them. Only you can decide that, she said. But consider this, justice isn't the same as revenge. One is about accountability. The other is about causing pain. I thought about that distinction carefully. Was turning over my evidence to authorities justice or revenge? My father was already facing consequences. Would adding more be justified or cruel? I decided to read through my old journals first. I hadn't looked at them in years. Reading them was painful. Detailed accounts of my childhood abuse, their crimes, and my loneliness. One entry especially hit hard. I'm 12 years old today. They locked me in the basement again. I heard them upstairs laughing and celebrating. They forgot my birthday. I don't think they even know it's today. I hate them. I hate being autistic. I hate everything. I cried reading that. The pain of 12-year-old me was still raw. But then I read another entry from a year later. I'm learning Python programming. It's beautiful. The code makes sense in a way people don't. Maybe I'm not broken. Maybe I'm just different. Maybe different is okay. That was the entry where I'd started finding hope. Where I'd begun seeing my autism as difference, not defect. I realized something reading those journals. My family's cruelty had been terrible. But it had also made me who I was, resilient, independent, and determined to help other autistic people avoid my experience. Their abuse hadn't broken me. It had forged me. That was my power. Not revenge against them, but becoming someone who could help others. At 26, I started a nonprofit, the Different Operating System Foundation. We provided resources, support, and advocacy for autistic people and their families. We focus on acceptance, not cure, I told donors. Autism isn't a disease. It's a different way of being. Our goal is helping autistic people thrive as themselves, not forcing them to be normal. The foundation grew quickly. We offered free counseling, educational resources, job training programs, and legal support for autistic individuals facing discrimination. Nathan Cole's foundation is changing lives, and news articles reported. His work promotes neurodiversity and acceptance. I shared my story publicly for the first time. I was locked in basements as a child because my family was ashamed of my autism, I told a conference audience. They tried to fix me, hide me, and make me normal. But I was never broken. I was just different. And that difference is now my greatest strength. The speech went viral. Thousands of autistic people and parents reached out. Thank you for sharing, they wrote. You gave us hope. Your story made me realize I've been hurting my autistic son trying to fix him. I'm going to start accepting him instead. Those messages meant everything. My pain was helping others heal. That was power, real, meaningful power. My family saw my speech. Amanda called. Nathan, I saw your conference talk. I'm sorry. We were terrible to you. Yes, you were, I agreed. I didn't understand then, as she continued. I was a kid following our parents' lead. But I'm an adult now, and I can see how wrong it was. I'm truly sorry. Her apology sounded genuine. Thank you, I said carefully. I appreciate that. Is there any chance we could rebuild a relationship? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly. You hurt me deeply. I'm not sure I can trust you. I understand, Amanda said. But if you're ever open to it, I'd like to try. I want to know my brother, the real you, not who our parents wanted you to be. We started talking occasionally. Small conversations, nothing deep. I kept my guard up, but Amanda seemed genuinely changed. I'm working with juvenile offenders now, as she told me. Kids who made mistakes. I keep thinking about how we treated you. How we could have been kinder. I'm trying to do better now. That's good, I said. Making amends isn't just apologizing. It's changing your behavior and helping others. Exactly, she agreed. I can't undo what we did to you. But I can make sure I treat others better. Meanwhile, my father's trial approached. He faced 20 years in prison. My mother and Trevor were also facing legal issues, mother for tax fraud, Trevor for drug dealing. The family was collapsing spectacularly. My father's lawyer contacted me. Mr. Cole, I know you have no reason to help your father. But I'm asking anyway. A character witness from a successful son might help his sentencing. You want me to testify that he's a good person? I asked. When he locked me in basements for being autistic? When he called me broken and embarrassing? I understand your anger, the lawyer said. But he's facing significant prison time. Any mitigation could help. Why would I help him? I asked. Because revenge doesn't heal anything, the lawyer said. Because maybe forgiveness would free you more than punishing him would. I hung up, angry. But his words lingered. Would helping my father somehow heal me? Or would it just reward his abuse? I talked to my therapist. There's no right answer, as she said. This is about what feels right to you. What would give you peace? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants him to suffer like I suffered. But another part remembers being that 12-year-old crying in the basement. He was scared and hurt. Would adult me want more suffering in the world? Only you can decide, she said. After much thought, I made a decision. I wouldn't testify for my father. But I also wouldn't use my journals against him. Justice was already happening without my interference. He'd face consequences for his crimes. I didn't need to add to them. I'm choosing neutrality, I told Amanda when she asked. I won't help him. But I won't hurt him either. That's fair, she said. More than fair, honestly. My father was sentenced to 15 years. My mother got 5 years. Trevor got 3 years. The family that once seemed untouchable was destroyed. And I'd done nothing except survive and thrive. At 27, my company went public. SecureNet Solutions IPO was hugely successful. My net worth hit $500 million. I was extraordinarily wealthy and successful. But money wasn't the point anymore. Impact was. I expanded my foundation dramatically. We opened centers in 10 cities, providing comprehensive support for autistic individuals. employment programs, housing assistance, social skills groups, and advocacy training. You're creating infrastructure that will help generations, my foundation director said. This is your legacy. My legacy is showing that autism isn't something to fix or hide, I replied. It's a different way of being that has value. That's what I want people to remember. I also started speaking at schools, teaching children about neurodiversity. Some people's brains work differently, I'd explain. That doesn't make them broken or less important. It just makes them different. And different is beautiful. Children understood this better than adults. My brother is autistic, one girl said. I used to get frustrated when he didn't play like other kids. But now I understand his brain just works different. That's okay. Exactly, I said. Your brother is lucky to have a sister who understands. These conversations gave me hope. The next generation might grow up with more acceptance and understanding. One day, Amanda brought her daughter to visit me. This is your Uncle Nathan, she told the 5-year-old. Hi, Uncle Nathan, the girl said shyly. Hi, Emma, I replied. Your mom tells me you like drawing? Yes, she said, showing me her crown pictures. That's beautiful, I said sincerely. You're very talented. Uncle Nathan, Emma said. Mommy says you're autistic. Autistic, Amanda corrected gently. It means his brain works differently. Like my friend Tyler at school. Emma said. He doesn't like loud noises. But he's really good at math. Exactly like that, I said, touched. Being autistic means some things are hard for me, like lots of noise or crowds. But other things are easier, like computer programming and patterns. Cool, Emma said, accepting this completely. Children's simple acceptance reminded me why my work mattered. Emma would grow up understanding neurodiversity as normal and valuable. That was progress. After the visit, Amanda hugged me. Thank you, she said. For what? For being willing to be part of Emma's life despite how we treated you. You could have cut us off forever. It would have been justified. I thought about it, I admitted. But holding on to anger was exhausting. And Emma didn't hurt me. She deserves to know her uncle. You're a better person than I am, Amanda said. No, I replied. I'm just someone who decided healing was better than hurting. That's not superior. It's just my choice. At 28, I received a letter from my father in prison. Nathan, I know I don't deserve your attention or forgiveness. I'm writing anyway because I need you to understand something. Watching your success from prison, reading about your foundation and advocacy work, I finally understand what I destroyed. I tried to fix you when you were never broken. I treated your autism like a flaw when it was actually a gift. Your different brain sees things others miss. It creates innovations others can't imagine. It gives you empathy for people who are different. I tried to suppress all of that. I tried to make you normal, when normal is just average. You were never average, Nathan. You were exceptional, and I was too stupid and ashamed to see it. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for relationship. I'm just apologizing, fully and completely. I was wrong about everything. You were right to walk away from us. I'm sorry for every basement, every cruel word, every moment I made you feel worthless. You're worth more than I ever was. I read the letter multiple times. It sounded genuine. But words were easy. Actions mattered. Still, the apology touched something in me. I wrote back. Dad, I received your letter. Thank you for the apology. I don't know if we'll ever have a relationship, but I appreciate your honesty. I'm not who I am despite my autism. I'm who I am because of it. I wish you'd understood that when I was 12 and terrified in your basement. But I understand now. And I'm at peace with who I am. I never expected a relationship with my father. But we started writing letters. Nothing deep, just occasional updates. He told me about prison life. I told him about my work. I'm teaching other inmates about computers, he wrote once. Using what I learned watching you as a kid. Several have gotten certificates and job placements for after release. I'm trying to help them have second chances I didn't give you. That's good, I wrote back. Everyone deserves second chances and support. Our correspondence was strange but healing. I was learning to see him as a flawed human, not just a monster. He'd been terrible to me. But he was changing. Growth is always possible. My mother was different. She never apologized genuinely. Her letters were full of self-pity and requests for money. I'm struggling, as she'd write. Prison is hard. Could you put money in my commissary account? I sent her a little money occasionally, not from obligation but from compassion. She was still human, even if she'd never understand what she'd done wrong. Trevor was released after 18 months with good behavior. He contacted me immediately. Nate, I need help. I have a record. Nobody will hire me. Can I work for your company? No, I said firmly. Why not? He asked angrily. We're family. Because you haven't changed, I replied. You haven't apologized. You're just asking for help. Trevor hung up, furious. But 3 months later, he called back. You were right, he said quietly. I was angry and entitled. I've been thinking about how we treated you. How I treated you. Nathan, I'm sorry. I was cruel to you growing up. I bullied you and made your autism seem shameful. That was wrong. Thank you, I said, surprised. I don't expect anything, Trevor continued. I just wanted you to know I'm working on being better. I got a job as a mechanic. It's not much, but I'm learning and staying clean. I'm proud of that. You should be, I said sincerely. That takes courage. Watching you succeed despite everything inspired me, Trevor admitted. If you could overcome our terrible family and build something amazing, maybe I can too. We started talking regularly. Trevor was genuinely trying to change, taking responsibility for his past. Can you forgive me? He asked one day. I'm working on it, I said honestly. Forgiveness takes time. But I appreciate your efforts to change. At 28, my life was full. Successful company, meaningful foundation work, slowly healing relationships with some family members, and a community of friends who accepted me fully. I'd overcome abuse, poverty, and people who thought I was broken. My autism, the thing my family tried to suppress, was actually my greatest strength. My pattern recognition abilities made me an exceptional engineer. My need for structure made me an organized entrepreneur. My different perspective allowed me to innovate where others couldn't. I started writing a book about my experiences, a different operating system, how autism became my superpower. The book detailed my childhood abuse, my escape, my success, and my advocacy work. This book will help so many people, and my editor said. Autistic people will see themselves in your story. Parents will learn how not to treat their autistic children. Employers will understand neurodiversity's value. The book was published when I was 29. It became an instant bestseller. Nathan Cole's story is inspiring and heartbreaking, a review said. Essential reading for understanding autism and neurodiversity. I did a book tour, speaking at bookstores and conferences worldwide. My family tried to fix me, I'd tell audiences. But I was never broken. I was just different. And that difference is valuable. Don't let anyone make you feel defective because your brain works differently. Different isn't less. Different is just different. Thousands of people thanked me after events. You gave me words for what I experienced, one autistic adult said. I always felt broken. You showed me I'm not. My son is autistic, a mother said, crying. I was trying to fix him like your parents did. Your book made me realize I should accept him instead. Thank you. Those conversations made everything worthwhile. My pain was preventing others' pain. At 30, I met someone special. Her name was Keisha, and she was also autistic. We met at an autism advocacy conference where we both spoke. Your speech was amazing, as she said afterward. You articulated things I felt but couldn't express. Thank you, I replied. Your speech about employment discrimination was powerful. We talked for hours. She understood my experiences instinctively. No explanations needed. No judgment of my stimming or communication style. I feel like I can finally relax, I told her. Most people require so much masking and performing neurotypical. With you, I can just be myself. Same, as she said, smiling. It's exhausting pretending to be neurotypical. With you, I don't have to. We started dating. It was the easiest relationship I'd ever had. We understood each other's needs without explanation. I need alone time to recharge, as she'd say, and I understood completely. This restaurant is too loud, I'd say, and she'd suggest somewhere quieter without question. We moved in together after a year. Our home was perfectly designed for our sensory needs: soft lighting, quiet spaces, comfortable textures. This is the first place I felt completely comfortable, Keisha said. At 31, we got married. Small ceremony, just close friends and family. Amanda and Trevor attended. My father called from prison to congratulate us. I'm happy for you, Nathan, he said. You found someone who accepts you completely. That's beautiful. It is, I agreed. I wish I could be there, he said. I'll be released in 8 years. Maybe then we can rebuild something. Maybe, I said noncommittally. I wasn't sure about rebuilding, but I was open to possibility. My mother was released after for years. She moved to a different state, and we had minimal contact. She never truly accepted responsibility for her abuse. That was okay. I didn't need her validation anymore. My foundation continued growing. We'd helped over 50,000 autistic individuals through various programs. You're changing the entire landscape of autism support, my foundation director said. Creating models other organizations are copying. Good, I said. The more people helping, the better. I also started mentoring young autistic entrepreneurs. Your autism gives you unique advantages, I tell them. Use them. Build businesses that accommodate your needs. Hire other neurodivergent people. Create workplaces where different operating systems thrive. Many of my mentees became successful, starting companies that valued neurodiversity. Nathan Cole inspired me, as they'd say in interviews. He showed me autism could be a strength. At 32, Keisha and I had a daughter. We named her Sophia. Is she autistic? People asked. We don't know yet, I'd reply. And it doesn't matter. If she is, we'll support her. If she's not, we'll support her. We're not raising her to be normal. We're raising her to be herself. Today, I'm 35. 17 years after escaping my family's abuse. My life is extraordinary. Successful company worth billions, foundation helping hundreds of thousands, loving marriage with Keisha, beautiful daughter Sophia, and relationships with some family members who've genuinely changed. My father will be released next year. We've discussed him meeting Sophia. Only if you've truly changed, I told him. Only if you understand that autism isn't something shameful or broken. I understand, he promised. I've had years to think about my mistakes. I'm not the same person who locked you in basements. Time will tell. But I'm open to possibility while maintaining boundaries. Looking back, that 12-year-old crying in the basement couldn't have imagined this life. He thought he was broken, worthless, and alone. He had no idea that his different brain would become his greatest asset. That the silence they forced on him would teach him observation skills that built an empire. That the family that tried to hide him would eventually need him. My autism, the thing they saw as defect, was actually my silent power. It gave me pattern recognition that built revolutionary software. It gave me systematic thinking that created successful businesses. It gave me empathy for different people that fueled meaningful advocacy. The family I once cared for became my silent power not through their love, but through their rejection. They forced me to become independent, resilient, and determined. They taught me that acceptance comes from within, not others' validation. That's my story. From abused autistic child locked in basements to successful advocate helping hundreds of thousands. My family tried to fix me, hide me, and break me. Instead, they forged me into something powerful. And that power wasn't loud or violent. It was silent, strategic, and ultimately transformative. Because of autism, I became exactly who I was meant to be.